And we are live. Welcome to the SEO and AI news for week 41. That was last week. I've gathered all the crazy stuff that's happening that week, and we're going to talk about it, distill it, then, of course, give you all the links in the video description so you can read up and get ahead of the game. That is evolving really fast. My name is Frederick Drost. We've got Linus Alenius here. We both work at Precis. So let's jump into it. First of all, bit of self-promotion. We've got an event at Precis for Agentic commerce. That's in October here, 22nd. Yeah, if you have an e-commerce, you're online, this would be very interesting to join. It's in Stockholm, so yeah, go ahead and sign up. There will be a link as well. A lot of good speakers there, really a must-see event. And then we get into all the OpenAI news. So if you've been following just a little bit, there's OpenAI just went here. Here's all the cool stuff we've made. We have apps in Chatgpt, and there's already a list of apps, like for example, Booking.com, etc., where you can interact directly with Booking.com and Chatgpt. What this means is specifically you can start doing bookings, and if you're in Chatgpt, it connects directly to their backend. So developers have been creating this, and there's of course a open source free framework for this. And if you're one of those big companies that are doing like bookings, etc., this would be quite valuable to set up. I probably think they've been contacted by ChatGPT beforehand for this launch, but again, it's open source, so you can do this now. I think you might need to do a little bit of research to figure out if people are actually using ChatGPT for that, but it's quite a cool thing, I would say. And again, I think it showcases how ChatGPT and LLMs are just a layer, and that we still need e-commerces, we still need websites. There's a bunch of things we still need. Now you might say we don't need the website anymore. Are people still going to trust doing their booking through ChatGPT? Time will tell. OpenAI also introduced Operator, which is pretty cool and crazy. So you could basically tell it, I need to book a time in a local hairdresser, and you can see it start browsing, clicking, thinking, and doing everything live. And you can even take over the browser. Pretty interesting. When it comes to SEO consulting, I think what I've been doing is testing for clients that, for example, booking hotels. I've been testing if they can finalize the booking. In many cases, you get stopped through, testing if you're a human kind of requirements. That's where it stops the process, and so you have to take over. So we're going to have to start talking about, should we let that specific agent go through so people can actually book from start to finish with just a few inputs like name, etc., etc. Those are the interesting things here that we need to speak with our clients about. And that, yeah, again, booking hotels, anything like that. But give it a go. It's really cool. And then we've got the OpenAI's instant checkout feature, which apparently is live on Etsy and a few others. It's the Agentic Commerce Protocol, ACP. You can read about it online. I think it's also open source, and this is very much checkout related. So again, it's about building a checkout system that can communicate with ChatGPT. We've talked a little bit about that last week, I think it was, and how Google tried that buy button directly and it didn't work. So again, are people going to trust ChatGPT to do this? This LinkedIn article specifically mentions how it's not completely set up to be good yet. So for on Etsy, for example, if you choose specific size or color variation, you won't be able to buy it. You need to go onto the site. So there's a lot of things we still need to work on this. It's very much the first draft of this type of tool, but getting on early for Etsy would be very useful. Amazon, all these types of bigger websites are going to have to run with this, and I'm pretty sure most e-commerces are going to have to set this up too. But again, if you have a specific code or plugin for checkouts, maybe talk to them. They should be working on this as well. So a lot of OpenAI stuff here, a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of people talking about it. For example, Andrea Volpini here has a really good article on LinkedIn talking about the role in AI, I guess. So I really like this conversational surface. Then you've got the Apps SDK, which is the MCP-based model. And then you've got the Agentic Commerce Protocol, which is for checkout. So really, I think this is a good guide summarizing all these news that have come together. Do you have any input on how you start talking to your clients about this? How to prioritize it?
Not really, to be honest. I don't think it's something that's worth prioritizing just yet. Specifically tied to any of my clients, since this is just US first for now. It's more like I feel like introduce them to what is happening, let them know what would be any necessary actions, and just kind of lift it to them that they need to prepare for this somehow.
Mm,
But I haven't really I don't think this is worth prioritizing now anyway, especially since we already know that I think this is mostly interesting for B2C e-commerce platforms.
mm,
And for them anyway, it's not very traffic driving, as far as I know, LLM traffic. So then it's like, is it really that important to focus on currently? So that's my view. Um,
mm.
of this article in particular, I'm a bit annoyed. I think this guy always makes things way too difficult. It's like you could say there's a new functionality coming to OpenAI, but no, he has to go and call it a semantic layer.
Mm.
It's I think us as a general SEOers, we have a problem with making things difficult just to make it sound, I don't know, technically incredible. I
Yeah.
don't know if you agree with me.
Yeah, it's like yeah, semantic layer, what does that mean compared to just saying, well, this is an app or this is a tool? Yeah, yeah, I think he might do that. Does he do it on purpose, or is he? I think he has a developer background, so he might be into too deep. Maybe that's a way of selling, complicating things. So people are like, I guess I need to hire him. I don't know, but still good points. I understand. I actually agree with you on that. It's like if you look at Google patents, it's very, very open ended. So they call things like an entity. They have to call it that because it has to be broad enough. I think kind of
Yeah,
what he's trying here, but yeah, still some good outlines here. I would say he's got the finger on the pulse. And
yeah,
speaking of traffic driver, I think this is an important conversation. And why we do videos is, again, I've showcased a few of my clients this, and specifically the operator. But again, how for them it's important because they're getting 30, 40, 50,000 without naming names, thousands of monthly referrals from ChatGPT. So in their niche, it's important. People are using their specific tool for that. And so we have to prioritize based on that. We do data driven decisions. I feel like with this landscape changing, we're becoming way more strategic prioritization partners. We have to be. We can't just 2 years ago it's just classic SEO, almost like do this, do that. Now we have to really take a step back and do strategy sessions every 3 months. Like, what should we prioritize? Which is great. They're paying us for that. So I think like that's really the mindset change for me. It feels like great. Another one here. This is controversial. We'll have a discussion here. So there's a lovely guide on how to rank in LLMs. I think everyone's competing about their strategy and sharing all this, which honestly, if I found the secret sauce, I'd probably keep it for myself a little bit. But they mentioned GPT articles. And when you read through this, again, my opinion, and this is what I wrote, is just SEO articles, but based on LLM tracking. Like people are like asking a long question, let's answer it and make it a bit shorter. Is that really what it is, right? Uh, or am I missing something here?
no, I guess. I mean, we're all. I feel like every article that comes out on this is just reinventing the wheel. Um, I think we're in dire need to kind of reinvent the acronym of like as we've spoken about several news sessions before. Like it's all SEO. It's just another layer to it, and
Mm,
that's why this makes it so difficult. Like yes, it is the same thing, but it's also a little bit different.
yep. I
Um,
I've been following along on Twitter for that, and there's a few people who are very much against Geo, AEO, all these types of things. I know we have an AEO at Precis. We have an AEO offering, but we're very transparent about what that means and why it's part of SEO and it's overlapping, and you cannot avoid SEO now. I really like the take I've seen on Twitter by I think Glenn Gabe or someone I can't remember, or maybe it's somebody else, but where they say it's been 2 years since he thinks SEO is no longer a search engine, it's search experience optimization, which means for him, SEO it implies that you have AEO underneath, you have Geo underneath, you have everything underneath, including UX, CRO, position right under search experience optimization. And I also think the point is if answer engine optimization, SEO is under that because it covers
yeah,
all answer engines. So it gets confusing. I still like SEO as a search experience optimization because that means ChatGPT is involved, everything is involved, and then you can put whatever you want underneath. So Again, we're getting into semantics, but yeah.
There's an emerging semantic layer.
Ooh, indeed.
Yeah.
Next up here, this is really interesting. So Raptive Network sharing, being very open about some of their traffic and where it's coming from. They have a huge network of websites, so it's quite has a statistical significance. Well, 0.2% of their traffic comes from LLMs. Very little. I keep sharing these because it helps us and everyone listening prioritize what to do with their clients. Again, I have a client in a niche that gets tons of, well, maybe not tons compared to total traffic, but they're getting significant AI referrals, and I think it would keep growing. So we prioritize it accordingly. But again, have a look at this. I can see why they wouldn't be prioritizing over optimizing for AI. Continue doing good SEO would be my guess here. So thanks for sharing that, and I'll keep sharing these kind of numbers. Then we have more news with Google and AI, of course. AI mode is now available or slowly rolling out into many other countries. Got some Nordic countries, European countries, which is part of the Nordics, Spain, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Portugal. Somehow France is not here yet. And also, I think
But
Italy and
France doesn't have AI overviews either.
yeah, and I don't know I mean, probably national laws compared to other countries.
Yeah.
Italy had some problems with AI overviews at a while, and they're now part of AI mode. So again, I'm not going to cry for France here, honestly, but it's very interesting to see. What would be interesting to see if we have clients with the same kind of product rankings, maybe on different markets, to compare France to another country now and see, are we actually seeing discrepancy. I will try and see if we can get that out because France seems to be a very good base model for comparing if they don't have any of that stuff. Anyway, watch out for AI mode. And so, what does that mean? I have personally actually tried to prepare some of my clients for AI mode by having different types of content strategies. I will not get into details. So, I will probably, hopefully, have a case that I can share very soon. But yeah, it'll be interesting because we can actually see the results. We'll have AI tracking tools that can see AI mode, and that'll give us an idea of what we should be doing. So we're always that feedback loop. That'll be very interesting. We'll, of course, share whatever we find here. And then this one is interesting as well. Google is testing new AI-generated descriptions formats for some pages, beginning with Reddit results, but basically the meta description we used to see is now a bit longer and AI-generated. I kind of like that, because you're using AI for something it's really good at, is summarizing content better than my meta descriptions. You're giving it a little more space and the user gets to understand the URL. I think this is good. And we cannot manipulate with meta descriptions, which I think can be done. And here it just summarizes it. And so you have to make good content to get people to click, and CR is dependent on that. What thoughts? I like this.
I like it a lot as well. It makes a lot of sense. Like you say, this is something AI is very, very good at. So I think it makes total sense. Makes it better, and also, in theory, it makes the search results, like the UI for them, better as well, since then they could take more control of how an interactive a meta description can be, for example. Like with forums, you could see maybe 3 example answers, for example, that'll be automatically generated, something like that.
Mm.
So, which I guess then maybe as well, good for the user, maybe bad for business, if you could get an AI overview within your search result, which I guess this kind of is. But I think from a user perspective, this is a net positive.
Yeah. The critique I've had with AI overviews is you're not getting, yes, now you're getting small source links, but who actually, weirdly enough, when I actually navigate, I did kind of look at sources and then went further in and got a click through. So, but it's still not like, you're not getting that branding where it says, this is said by Frederick Rost and here and here. And so we're removing a lot of clicks and brand visibility, and they're using our content to generate something and keeping people on Google. Never like that. This is the way you should be using AI. Like, I hope AI mode will be how just organize your SERPs with AI and give us good and tell people exactly where to go or to go next, but don't give them the full answer. Let us do that. Let us create the content. So cross our fingers. And we've got a lovely tool here that apparently can track the fan out queries from ChatGPT and Gemini. So again, if you're doing some sort of prompt and it does a web search, it can capture all those different web searches, which I find very interesting if you're really like a very specific niche and B2B kind of company. So there's very few prompts you might really want to optimize, and here you can get an idea of the content if you want ChatGPT referrals, which is a big player, of course. So I feel like that's a really good tool. I also have another one called ChatGPT Path, which I'm not really sure. It says run query extractor. I think it's the same one. So there's two of these right now. This one is just a recent one, so it seems to be doing it automatically. You can download a CSV, etc. So might be a better version, but test them out. They're really cool. Then we've got Himanshu Sharma here, the GA4 master himself. And he is basically criticizing how many people are saying tutorial content is dead. A lot of his tutorials are getting clicks from AIs because people actually want extra insights. So we've discussed this, but AIs or LLMs a lot of times will take a lot of things and flatten it, synthesize and flatten it. So you get the generic, everyone agrees kind of response. But his tutorials might have a lot more unique insights and tips and tricks. And people need that and actually goes there and gets it. So that is probably how you should be creating your content, which is essentially good expert content, which we've been saying for years anyway, is what we need to be creating. So I agree with this perspective. And I think we just need to elevate how we create content and who we involve with it in order to get this. So love this post. And then let's go back to some old school classic SEO. Linus, how about just changing URLs and getting more traffic?
Not surprising in the slightest, to be honest.
No, I want to share these. The reason I got this in my feed was because Lily Ray, which I also follow, shared this, and she was just like, an old school SEO tactic that still works, and it almost nostalgic. So again, for anyone listening here, changing the current blog URLs or the old ones were blog 2024-03 post title, and they changed that to just post title. So removing the date, which I think in terms of freshness might be a wrong indicator if it's an old one. But again, they just changed it to post title. No new content, no new backlinks, just shorter URLs. 40%, 44% increase. And he says here, 40% of sites still use categories, dates, and author URLs like it's 2008. This is simple. Very, very simple stuff. And I actually will take this into account. I've been devaluing like URLs for a while. But again, I think it's because people are very, should we do this and that? And there's best practice. This makes a lot of sense. I love it. And we should not, we should remember the good old classics still work. That's the point of this. That's why I'm sharing. I think, do you have any recent example of a good old tactic that worked? Just changing your title as well. CTA helps. I've seen H1s. Just they had no H1s and then they added H1s. Boom, done.
Yeah.
Like those still work as well, and a lot of websites still don't do it properly.
I don't know if I have one off the top of my head, but still, though, I mean, like all of these. I always think anything that makes sense, like from a UX perspective, that also is what you call classic SEO. I mean,
Yes.
just do it.
I am. Yep.
It's a net positive.
I feel like I'm talking to a lot of clients now who they really need to know what makes sense. And I say, well, if you think it makes sense for your audience and could help them, do it. Does it make sense to have links to some categories or help people choose a product from your category page? Yes, then make that content. Don't make the guide of the history of Ray-Bans instead. How about I have a big head. I would like to know which would fit me. Put that as a link in a new category page. That's useful. So do it. And sounds too easy, but and again, finally here. Whoa. So I'm skipping here. Brody Clark coming with some lovely e-commerce here. I love this. So, and I know you're all about the e-commerce shopping. You're the guy go to. So just quickly, product variations, you can mark them up. You can put them in feeds. But apparently he still sees that when people can get a variation, they go in and that variation is not completely selected. So you still have to reselect the variation. You're basically just getting the info that it exists. But when you click, it's not ready for you to buy. And he's saying that is where a lot of e-commerces will win, is with that. Like you can just increase your CRO immediately, conversion rates basically. What's your take on this? I mean, again, yeah, I would say do it, but have you seen this before, and how far are we
And
with?
I mean, this obviously also makes sense. As I understand it, it's basically if you're optimizing for a feed or free listings, then you should also make sure that your website is also optimized. And I mean, that's how you should do SEO anyway. Um, and I mean, Google themselves have said that, um, I think they themselves have said that long term for free listings, you won't upload data feeds. They'll just crawl the website and use that as a data feed. So, I mean, taking that into account, you should always just optimize the website first.
Mm.
Because that's the, I mean, until instant checkout becomes like default setting and people start using that as default, then the website will still be where people convert.
And even
Therefore, that's the
well,
important thing.
and good point. Instant checkout, OpenAI. Let's smash this all together. They still need that. Well, the whole problem here is there is no way for it's when I change my product variation color, it doesn't change. There's no dynamic way for
Yeah.
like to reference that. Now, if you use query parameters for that, it's not an indexable URL. It doesn't have to be all the time, depending on kind of variations. But that means you can actually link to it in a feed. And so you could do instant checkout from that URL with query parameters. You can link to that in product variations in your markup. And so suddenly people get where they want and can do the checkout. I think that's how you optimize on site. Do we then want an indexable URL or not? Well, I think a lot of fashion sites for colors they should, maybe not for size. Sometimes I've seen it where you're like, well, people will search for red dress, blue dresses, so we should have those like indexed if it's specific. Sometimes not. So it's really tough choice there. But in any case, that's the solution he's mentioning here. So read the post. Great stuff. Thank you, Brody. And yeah, it's getting long here. I actually filtered out a lot of stuff. There was so much going on in week 41. Last one, quickie. Microsoft published a guide on how to optimize content for AI. Guess what? It's just SEO. So we're back to that discussion again. I didn't see anything that stood out from being specifically not SEO, except maybe the focus on short, concise answers, no fluff, which I feel like is still something we're not trying to achieve with SEO before AI. Like I know that long time ago it was like just write a bunch of fluff, and Google was like, oh, it's long, so it must be better. That's no longer the case. So, did you see anything here that stood out as like this could be AI specific?
Not really. And I mean, I also share the sentiment that, like we've spoken about already, that the overlap is so big anyway. For me, I think the biggest change when it comes to AEO compared to SEO is the reporting that, like the insights it can unlock. Otherwise, it's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess maybe here what I'd say is different is maybe the process is a bit different, but the results will be the same.
Mm.
So I look at it.
I mean, I love the Q&A, the headings. I'm just like, okay, this is probably getting ahead of like, well, we want to be telling you how to do it. So I guess they want to lead that kind of way. Like, I don't know. It's probably more marketing than anything here.
I think so.
Yeah, really, really interesting. But that was it for this week. Let's keep it as short as possible. Thank you, Linus, for joining, having these discussions. Everyone listening, in the description, you have links, summaries to all of this stuff, so you can go read up or bookmark them or whatever you want. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm getting a clock here. And otherwise, have a great week, and I will see all of you next week.